Today I'm going to list 10 reasons South Dakota is one of the most moved to states here in 2022 and probably will be again in 2023. Are you thinking about relocating to the Midwest, more specifically the upper Midwest? And yes, I said upper Midwest. Some people look at North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan as part of the upper Midwest. So you got the Midwest, which is below them, and then the upper Midwest. There's like 20 different region maps for the United States. The region that has the most maps is the South. Some don't include like Texas, Kentucky, and Tennessee, while others include every southern state, and they include Maryland and Oklahoma. It's weird. The Midwest only has two main maps, the Midwest and then the one that splits the two in half, upper Midwest and just the normal Midwest. Does anybody care? It doesn't matter. You now have the information swirling around in your head. Today we're looking at the Mount Rushmore State, South Dakota. It is actually the newest Midwest state to get on the most moved to list. South Dakota had a population of 895,000 residents in the 2020 census, ranking them at 46 for population. When it comes to total area, they're ranked 17th, so this place is sparsely populated. When you look at the relocation numbers for the first 3 quarters of 2022, for every 100 people moving out of South Dakota, 101.43 move in. Now that's down from 2021 when they had 103.45 moving in. When people move to different states, they often fill out surveys on different subjects about why they're making this move. They're usually given by a moving company or something like that. That's what today's video is based on. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, quality of healthcare. Now this one's normally a big deal for retirees, and a lot of retirees have chosen to move to South Dakota in recent years, even though it's a pretty cold place to live. They get some brutal winters. But cold South Dakota winters aren't slowing down Mama and Papa. They have a very active senior scene in South Dakota. A lot of activities to do. Wallet Hub actually ranked South Dakota as the 3rd best state for healthcare due to its very accessible system and good healthcare outcomes. If you're watching this and you're below 40, it probably doesn't make sense to you. But if you get over 40 and into your 50s, it starts to play a bigger part of your life, looking for good quality healthcare. And this is a great state to live in if you're concerned about that. Number 9, great small towns. Yeah, South Dakota has a lot of really good small towns. I mean, their cities really aren't that big, and in a lot of cases, what they consider a city can also be considered a small town by some of us. You got little towns like Kimball, South Dakota. They got next to no crime, hardly any sidewalks, decent schools, and a low cost of living, low housing too. Kimball's violent crime rate is actually 100% below the national average. Their total crime rate's 30% below the national average. That's quality stuff. That's a small town. They've only got about 600 residents. You want to look at something bigger? You got Del Rapids. That place is great. They got a crime rate that's 50% below the national average. Their violent crime rate's 36% below the national average. Their housing's affordable. You get a decent house there for like $250,000. They got decent schools and a cost of living that might make it possible to put some money away for your future or have enough money to join the Peanut Brittle of the Month Club. Yes, it's a thing. There's different people making peanut brittle in this country. In my opinion, I don't even think we need one person making peanut brittle. There are a lot of great small towns in South Dakota, and I'm going to do a video pretty soon on the 10 best small towns in South Dakota. So wait for that video. Number 8. Low cost of living. In 2022, South Dakota's cost of living is 4% lower than the national average. When you break it down to the different things, housing is 3% lower than the national average. Utilities is 10% lower. When it comes to groceries, 7% lower. They even have one for clothing. Clothing costs is 7% lower than the national average. You know why? Because the entire state buys nothing but Duluth Flex jeans. They're not paying me to say this, but those things are cheap and they will last you your entire life. You'll pass them down to your grandkids. So yeah, South Dakota's got a pretty low cost of living. Number 7, affordable real estate. So like I said, their real estate is about 3% lower than the national average. In past years, it's been even lower. In 2019, it was actually 6% lower than the national average, which is pretty good. In 2019, their housing was 6% lower than the national average, so it's gone up a little bit, but so is everyone else. But since they're closing that gap on the national average, maybe theirs has gone up a little bit more than other states, but they're still doing pretty good. Just to give you an idea. In the state capital of Pierre, just kidding, it's actually spelt Pierre, but it's pronounced Pierre. Their median listing price is $296,000. That is third quarter 2022 numbers, so So, 3 years down the line, don't give me any grief. If you go to Blunt, South Dakota, the median listing price there is $149,000. Harold is $182,000. The typical home value statewide is about $306,000. Now, that's a broad brush on that one. That's really, really a ballpark because you're talking an entire state. Obviously, when you break it down to cities, or towns, you can get a better feel for what the prices are going to be. Just to give you an idea though, California, their typical home value is about double that. Number 6, it's the Midwest and slow. Now, this is kind of a vague thing, and I'm going to explain it to you. It's Midwest and it's kind of slow, meaning there's not a lot going on. They don't have any major cities that are just booming metropolises with all the trappings that come with a giant city. Traffic, police helicopters, tents on sidewalks, all the things that kind of suck about living in a city. But that's one of the most common things people say they're moving to a place like South Dakota for. They want to get away from the hustle and the bustle of a major city or a busy state. Well, almost never. If you're in Sturgis during the bike rally, yeah, it's busy. Number 5, it's a red state. Yep, here it is again, people moving for politics. This is another one people say they're moving to South Dakota for. They like a good Republican conservative state, basically a red state. Now, locals always leave comments about, move here, but don't bring your politics with you. Don't come here and ruin our state like you did your state. Here's the thing. Other than Texas, a majority of the people leaving a blue state for a red state are already registered Republicans. They're not moving there to change your state. They're moving there to be with your state. Now, some people move there for jobs or family or whatever, and they don't care about the politics. But the people that care about politics, that's what they're doing. I know this may be hard to choke down, but about a quarter of California is already Republican. That's the people. If you look at it from a land perspective, a lot of people keep bringing that up lately, like land actually votes, the people. But anyway, more than half the land and the counties in California are Republican. But yeah, a lot of people move to South Dakota because it's a red state. And a lot of people move to Oregon from places like South Dakota or let's say Texas to Oregon or Washington because they're blue states. Just what people do. Number 4, the seasons. Here it is again. This is a big thing for a lot of people. They want to move someplace where they actually have seasons. Most of the time, this is for up in New England or something. People from Arizona or California, they're just getting tired of having hot or decent weather all the time. They want to mix it up a little bit. Like I said in the main video about a week and a half ago, I really enjoy being in Oregon where there's a little chaos to my weather patterns. I grew up in Southern California. It's always pleasant. When you do grow up in a place like Southern California, it's almost like you're living a sheltered life. You really don't know what it's like out there in the real world where people get snowed in and things like that. But one thing I did find amazing about South Dakota, and this popped up several times, summer almost makes up for the harsh winters. Summers in South Dakota are a good time. Plenty of outdoor stuff to do. Lakes, rivers, reservoirs, they got it all there. Sure, you might have to unfreeze your tires from your driveway, but that's a small price to pay for a really nice summer. At least it's better than the frozen tundra of North Dakota. North Dakota winters, that gets pretty harsh. Type of place you and your wife are trying to gain weight for the winter. September rolls around, your wife's complaining she can't see her feet anymore, and you're all, hey, look how comfortable we're gonna be this winter. Number 3, hunting and fishing. Yep, that's right, they got it all in South Dakota. A lot of hunting and fishing. Really more hunting than fishing, but they have good offerings of each. I know quite a few people that have gone to South Dakota for hunting seasons, whatever. That's a thing you get when you were in the military for a while. You know a lot of guys that go out hunting, and a lot of my friends have showed up in South Dakota to go hunting. None of them have moved there to go to live the hunting life, but that is a big thing for a lot of people that are into hunting, especially the retirees. They want to be closer to the hunting so they could do it more often. In South Dakota, you can hunt antelope, bighorn sheep, deer, elk, mountain goat, mountain lions, non-trophy buffalo. Trophy buffalo? Is there a difference? I had no idea. Turkeys. You could even hunt smaller things like rabbits, mourning dove, partridges, American crows. They've got a hunting season for that, quail, obviously, and tree squirrel. Number 2, the lifestyle. A lot of people get into this, I don't know if it's Old West or frontier type lifestyle that you'll find in South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, even Colorado to a degree. There's something about those states that draw people into that type of lifestyle. It's normally people that maybe were living in cities on the East Coast or even on the West Coast, and they just want to get away from that type of thing, and they move to a place like South Dakota. I've heard a lot of people show up for the Sturgis bike rally, and they just fall in love with South Dakota and that whole type of lifestyle. And granted, the Sturgis biker rally is something totally different. It's not like you go to little towns in South Dakota and they're doing that every weekend. No, that thing's huge, but people fall in love with the state when they go there for that. It draws a lot of people in, and a lot of people fall in love with South Dakota. But one of the most common things was a change of lifestyle, the vibe. Some of the towns they have in South Dakota still have that Old West type feel. Kind of a tourist trap, but one of the best examples of that is Deadwood. Deadwood sprung up in the 1800s, and it's kind of held on to that look and feel since then. Now it's a way they make their money. Deadwood has a lot of history though. If you want to see something weird about Deadwood, HBO did a series probably 10 years ago called Deadwood. It's disturbing, don't watch it with your kids, but it's a great show. Besides Deadwood, you'll run into some of these small towns that still have some of the old buildings standing from the 1800s. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. There's also a link for Home and Money, a website that'll help you with a lot of things real estate wise. But if you're looking to move to another state, they can get you in contact with a realtor in whatever area you're moving to. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, it's a great place to raise a family. Yep, it is considered one of the best states to raise a family. Depending on what study you look at, it usually ranks around 8 to 12, somewhere in there. They have decent schools, and when you talk about higher education, they're usually ranked right around number 5. So South Dakota has some good colleges. Overall, South Dakota is a pretty safe state, which is always great when you're trying to raise a family. And it's got that slower lifestyle, which is always good when you got kids. When you're raising kids, you're looking for schools, you're looking for things to do, you're looking for affordability and a good quality of life. South Dakota has those things. Myself, I'd move a couple states over and raise my kids in Wisconsin if I was making that decision right now. But South Dakota's not bad at all. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.